Welcome Exiles! In the last video, we continued farming up currency through the Genesis tree, got an apothecary drop, gambled ourselves a mageblood through the insane cat div card, and then upgraded that mageblood to a Headhunter. In this video, we're going to take this build to its endgame version and really make it a powerhouse worthy of clearing all mapping content in the game. This is going to be a crafting heavy episode, so as always, I'll be explaining everything that I'm doing along the way, so I hope you're able to learn something, and more importantly, I hope you enjoy. The first thing we want to do in this video is swap over to a Phys conversion tornado shot build. We're playing with a Headhunter now, and rare enemies can often give us a modifier that provides us with 50% of our physical damage as extra lightning, cold or fire damage, as well as one modifier that provides us with 60% of our physical damage as a random element. Now if I stick with my elemental bow, I can't really benefit from these modifiers when I steal them, but with a physical bow and a cold conversion build, I can reap all the benefits from these modifiers, as well as still being able to chill and freeze the enemy. It will also allow us to use some really cool uniques that I'll talk about later. So first things first, we need to roll a spine bow with an item level of 86 or higher to get +2 additional arrows. Then I can use a fracturing orb on that bow to try and lock that +2 modifier in place. Well, I rolled 5 bows and I hit them all with fracturing orbs, but I think someone vilogged my footage because it's corrupted. Luckily, or unluckily I guess, I didn't hit any of the +2s on them, so we're rolling 4 more. Right, well, let's hope for some better luck on these 4 bows then. Nice. Not nice. Nice? Yeah, not nice. Okay, 2 bows out of 9 though, that's not bad. That's 1 bow for me and 1 to sell to recoup some of my losses. The next step is to spam deafening essences of contempt. We're going to do this until we hit either the tier 1% physical damage or the tier 1 to 2 physical damage hybrid. Okay, tier 2 hybrid, we can work with that. So now we craft on prefixes cannot be changed, and we hit the bow with a veiled chaos orb, which will re-roll the bow just like a chaos orb would, but it's going to add a veiled mod. However, since we locked the prefixes, they won't be removed. We're hoping for it to add a veiled prefix in the slot we left open, which we did get. And if we had gotten a suffix, I'd have had to have crafted prefixes cannot be changed again, and then hit it with another veiled chaos orb. Now we can unveil the bow, and we take the physical damage roll, which is guaranteed. We do have a problem here. I wanted to craft prefixes cannot be changed again now, so that then I could roll some suffixes that I want, but the veiled chaos orb filled up the suffixes, meaning I can't do that. The only thing I can do now is hit the bow with an orb of annulment, which will remove a random modifier, praying that it doesn't remove one of my physical damage prefixes. Oh, thank God for that. We hit the 40% chance annul and we saved it. That means we can move on to the next step. So we'll craft prefixes cannot be changed. And now we want to use the harvest craft to reforge an item with a speed modifier. This will guarantee that we either get attack speed or projectile speed. We're aiming for a high attack speed roll and praying that we don't fill up the suffixes again. That is just embarrassing. Come on, Bo, you can do better than that. We'll craft prefixes cannot be changed again and have another go at reforging speed. Okay, we go again. Prefixes cannot be changed, reforge speed, and oh god no. Well, that filled up the suffixes, which means I have to try another 40% annul. But it's fine, we got this. We don't got this! And with that, we're back to square one, spamming essences. Okay, wait, that's a really good essence. Like, actually, that's just as good as if I just did the whole thing with a Veiled Chaos Orb. We'll definitely take that, and that's just insanely unlikely to hit. We can slap that on the ever-growing list of bullshit RNG this series. You know the drill, prefix no changey, and reforge speed. Wait, why did I do that? Okay, so you can only have one veiled mod on an item. Previously, I was using that veiled mod as a prefix to get some physical damage, but this time I just hit the physical damage naturally. So I can just lock the prefixes now and use the veiled chaos orb to get a suffix. Oh my god, this is going to be so much easier. Lock the prefixes, and now veiled chaos orb. And it didn't fill the suffixes too. Oh, you beautiful bastard of a bow. The fact that it didn't fill the suffixes means I can block the highest weighted suffix that I don't want, which is damage per charge, and then I can unveil, hoping for attack speed or crit. And I got attack speed. All I need to do now is craft the crit, Hit it with a temporary orb for the 8% increased physical modifier enchant. I said for the 8% increased physical modifier enchant. Don't tempt me, Path of Exile. 8%. There's okay, thank you. And then we 6-link this bad boy. I'm 2,400 fusings in. My hand craves the sweet release of death. Oh, thank God. Oof, okay. Now that the bow is done, we need a way of converting all of my physical damage to cold. For that, we need a new pair of gloves. And the first step of crafting those gloves is to try and fracture the temple mod that gives damage against chilled enemies. So I'll buy a nice base with a good roll. Then I'll hit those gloves with the fracturing orb. Nice, I got it first try this time. Now we spam deafening essences of spite until we hit T1 attack speed. This is going to fix our int issues and get us 3 perfect suffixes. We're going to be doing a very similar crafting method to the bow. Once we have our 3 perfect suffixes, we're then going to lock them in place and then hit it with the Veiled Chaos Orb. And again, we got only the Veiled mod without filling up any more of the prefixes. That's perfect. This means we can block a mod we don't want and then unveil. We're hoping to get the Phys conversion to cold mod, which can be tricky since there's a few Phys conversion mods. And of course we get lucky. I've now just crafted evasion to block it, and I'm going to slam it with an exalted orb, hoping for a higher tier of life. That's not bad, I suppose. Then I can craft projectile speed and projectile damage, and that's all the affixes done. Now the only thing left to do is sort out the Eldritch implicits. We need to use Grand Ichors to get 20% Phys to cold conversion. Then an exceptional Ember for a random Searing Exarch mod of a higher tier than the Eater of Worlds one. Then we'll be able to use an Orb of Conflict, which lowers the tier of one implicit, but raises the tier of the other, and it always prefers to drop down the higher mod and elevate the lower one. Sadly, it lowered the tier of the mod we wanted. No problem, we just roll it again, and then use another Orb of Conflict. Since the last one raised the level of the Searing Exarch mod that we don't want, it's now extremely likely to do what we want it to do. And there you have it. We can then use lesser embers to roll for rage on hit, and that's our endgame gloves and our endgame bow finished. The bow is giving a ton of physical damage, while the gloves convert 60% of our physical damage to cold after I've divined them. Combo that with the cold mastery that will give us 40% of physical damage converted to cold, and we are officially a cold conversion tornado shot build. I quickly bought a pair of boots to fix some of my resistances. I also built a max rolled Spinehail quiver for 5 divines. Now this quiver sacrifices 1 damageable minion to add 3 projectiles to your attack. Since we're now playing a Phys build, we can use Herald of Purity to buff our damage, and make use of the minions that it spawns as sacrifices to the quiver. In my opinion, this is pretty much the go-to quiver for a Phys tornado shot build, at least until you have a much more expensive setup later on. Oh hi Alva. So with our new bow, gloves, boots, and quiver, we're finally broke again, and ready to get back into the mapping. Also, if you're enjoying the video, remember to like and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that people are enjoying my videos, and it makes a huge difference to smaller creators like me. The build is getting stupidly strong now, and once my old elemental bow sells, I'll be able to make some big upgrades that change things up quite a lot. Ooh, a mage blood? Ew, a flower. And there's a divine orb. You know what? I'm not even going to bother opening this one. I'm just going to sell it. What are you going to do about it, huh? Yeah, that's right. Nothing. The elemental bow sold for 25 divines, and my old quiver sold for 8 divines. Not bad at all. Now let's show absolutely zero financial control and spend all of it immediately. First up, I want a Heatshiver with the 90% reservation efficiency multiplier corruption on it. Heatshiver provides a huge amount of damage thanks to the coldest extra fire damage per chill effect and the 30% coldest extra fire against frozen enemies. The 90% reservation multiplier is going to allow us to do some really clever shenanigans with our auras. Then, since we're now doing pure cold damage, I can replace the expedition's end. So I buy a high evasion body armor with high fractured life. We're going to roll that body armor with deafening essences of loathing for the mana reservation efficiency until we get T1 spell suppress and a high resistance. Then we craft suffixes can't be changed. I'm sure you see where we're going with this. Surprise! We're hitting it with a Veiled Chaos Orb. I bet you didn't see that one coming. We block the highest weighted Veil mod that we don't want. And then we unveil. And we hit exactly what we were looking for, chance to avoid elemental ailments. We can craft on max life, max mana, and that's the affixes finished. Now we spam Grand Ichors for the Hatred Aura effect. Beautiful. And Grand Embers for generic aura effect. You love to see it. Next on the agenda is the boots. Now I'll be crafting these in basically the exact same way that I just did the body armor, but the implicits have the potential to be a massive ball ache. Like the chest, we're spamming deafening essences of loathing for the mana reservation efficiency, looking for T1 suppress with the T1 resistance. For maybe the 8th time this video, we craft suffixes cannot be changed. I promise that's the last time we're going to press that button in this video. There's no more suffixes can't be changed. We're sick of it. We hit it with a Veil Chaos Orb, block a Veil mod that I don't want, and unveil. Well, I was hoping for Onslaught, so let's go again. A recraft suffixes can't be changed. I lied. Hit it with a Veil Chaos Orb, block a no-no affix, unveil, and there we have it. I've crafted Evasion as the final affix. Now I'm rolling Grandicas for the chance to avoid elemental ailments implicit. So previously, we used an Orb of Conflict to elevate the cold conversion mod on the gloves. We only needed to hit that once. Here, we need to elevate the chance to avoid elemental ailment mod 3 times in a row. This has the potential to be very expensive. Okay, it's elevated once, so now we use an Exceptional Ember and Orb of Conflict again. Okay, that's twice in a row. The third one's going to be the hardest one though. Okay, well I guess we're renaming the series Constant Bullshit RNG to wind everyone up. Now we just need to roll some embers for action speed and the boots are done. With the new helmet, body armor, boots, and with the spell suppress node on the passive tree, the build has had an enormous power boost. The boots are providing me with Onslaught, and also work in tandem with the body armor to provide me with 100% ailment immunity. The body armor is also providing me with a huge reservation efficiency multiplier, which works in tandem with my new Heatshiver. Together, these allow me to use Haste, Herald of Purity, Herald of Ash, Precision, and Hatred all at the same time, which my body armor is buffing, especially the Hatred. Lastly, with all these upgrades, plus the node on the passive tree I mentioned, I have 100% spell suppression. There's only a few upgrades left until we can put this series to a close. Oh hello, the old double shinger. A double shinger, is that allowed? I've got a couple of grass and males to ID. I haven't really been showing these because I haven't found anything interesting. Until now, oof. That one sucks, but the other one, oh buddy. So the lightning damage mod currently sells for around 42 divines, but the attack speed mod is currently around 35 divines. I don't think the attack speed mod is actually selling though. It kind of looks to me like people are pricing it high, but nobody's actually buying them. So I'm just going to price it at 42 divines and take the money. I'd rather have 42 divines now than wait hours for a few extra. I'm also going to buy a level 4 Enlighten for my Aura link. They currently cost 18 divines, but if you buy the Wealth and Power cards for Chaos Orbs, it only works out to 15 divine orbs. If you take anything away from this series, it's to always check the price of your cards, peoples. Now all we need to do is farm up a little bit more money for some flasks and a Watcher's Eye. I have been completely neglecting my flasks for way too long. I need to get some proper ones before we end this. Come on tree, you got one last chance to impress us. You tried your best. So here we are at the final upgrades. First off, we're going to pick up on Ariath's End. This will be an incredible flask in the content we're running, since there's so many dense packs. Then, we're going to grab a max roll at Series Promise, which works out to 8% more damage, not 16. People often think that in a Phys conversion build, you benefit from both of these mods, but you don't, because the flask only calculates its damage after you've converted your physical damage. GGG. Then, we'll grab a Dying Sun for the extra projectiles, and for the final upgrade of the series, we're picking up this absolute animal of a Watcher's Eye, which gives our build 10 to 15% attack speed, 20 to 30% crit multi, and around 70 to 104 cold damage to attacks. And with that, Tug Spunkson's story is finally over. We started out naked on a beach with the goal of becoming an absolute powerhouse by farming nothing but the tree. And I'd say we succeeded. Breach feels incredible after the changes, and I still love rolling the tree. We got insanely lucky right from the very start all the way until the very end. Not just in game with the drops, but also out of Path of Exile with you guys and the amount of love that's been shown for what I've made so far. It's been incredible, and I'd never expected to receive such kind words and appreciation from so many people after such a short period of time. It truly means the world to me, and I'll continue to make more content just like this for you. There is just one really specific thing that's disappointed me though, and that's the tree itself. It was supposed to give us huge valuable items and we barely got anything. I wonder what were to happen if I were to throw a whole bunch of Hiveblood at it. I don't know, like 1 million Hiveblood maybe?